I'm talking with Professor Lisa Kervin, and I'm talking to you as both a professional and also as a mum. You're a mum all the time, but at the moment it's a particularly different role during the COVID-19 crisis that we have. And we're going to be talking about homeschooling. So you're going to give a little bit of your expertise, but also a personal view as well, working from home.
Well, I'm not sure I have a lot of expertise some days, but we're doing the best we can. So at the moment in my house, it's me and my husband who are both working full-time, and our 3 very energetic boys, so aged 12, 10 and 7.
Right. So how are you managing all of those roles at home and being a parent, not necessarily not taking on the role of teacher, but of course a lot of parents are taking on the role of teacher. So how are you managing the multiple roles that you have?
Well, I guess I should acknowledge that before I came to UAW, I was a primary school teacher, and so was my husband, and now neither of us are in the classroom. So we feel that we've gone back to our old days a little bit, but we realised very, very quickly that we can't be teachers in our home, and it's not fair to our children nor to their teachers for us to try and be their teachers as well. What we can do though is to support them as learners in our home and think about ways that we can create some nice opportunities for them while also managing quite a complex time.
So when you talk about nice opportunities for them, and I imagine that you're trying to keep the nice opportunities but also keep them on track with their schoolwork. So what are the nice opportunities that you're providing for your children at this time?
Well, I think we're trying to create some routines and some structures in our home that work with the needs of our children and also our needs as full-time employees as well. So I guess within those nice opportunities is a balance. So we're trying to create times where the children have time to do their schoolwork and support them with that. But being realistic too about how much time is feasible. We don't want to replicate the school day in our home. It's just not possible. So we need to then create some routines to enable them to do what it is that they need to do for school, but to also do what they need to do as active little people. So my children are loving the fact that they get triple sport every day because they do something with my husband while I'm doing work calls, they do something with me while he's doing work calls, and then we try and do something together as a family. So, you know, that's something that we're doing. We're also part of the routines and structures that we're putting in place is time for technology as well. For our eldest child, that's part of his schoolwork. He's in high school, so his school day looks quite different as he's logging in and doing Zooms as part of his regular school day. For our younger 2 who are in primary school, their day is really quite different, so they need a lot more support from us at home to be able to get their school tasks done, those that are assigned, but they also need time to, I guess, busy time so that we can get our work done as well.
And it's interesting about the different age groups as well. And you're saying, okay, you can't replicate the school day, but you want some routines there. Are you finding that there's differences in the way each of your children addresses their schoolwork and that they may be going outside of the school day, that they're wanting to manage their days differently now that they don't have the structure of school? Absolutely, and I think we need to manage their days differently as well. So to think about a school day as 5 hours of learning, 5 hours of school-based learning at home is just not practical. So we've structured our day into 2 90-minute blocks of time and sharing the responsibility for those blocks of time. Mind you, my children prefer to work with their father because apparently I make them write too much. But right, different teaching
we'll just
styles.
put that onto the side. But they get through their schoolwork much faster at home than what they probably would in the classroom, and that's okay. And I think what else is okay is that we have established as our family what our non-negotiables are in terms of schoolwork. So we want our children to read every day, to write every day, to do some maths every day. anything else that happens is a bonus. And in the afternoons, we have set some challenge time, is what we've been calling it. And during that time, we've asked the children to identify something that they want to learn about, something that they're interested in. So one of our children is interested in refining his Mandarin skills. So he's using his afternoon times to listen to podcasts and language-based apps to try and work on that, and then it gives us a little bit of free time as well. One of our other children is interested in Lego, so he's doing the Lego challenge in the afternoon time, looking at different things that he can build and create. So that has helped us a lot to just take some of the pressure off us too, in terms of what's practical.
Yeah, and I think that practical, I think at this time particularly, parents need to be reassured that it is going to be okay, and I think it's interesting your point around it's not a 5-hour school day at home, and so that is a lot of pressure on children, but having some of those things is a great idea. What about those days where children just, they just really don't want to engage with their schoolwork? How do you manage that?
I think we all have those days.
Absolutely.
It's not just restricted to children. I find that doing the schoolwork in the morning is really important with my children. Mornings is their best learning time. It's when they're freshest for the day. And also in their minds too, doing their schoolwork in the morning means that they've got the rest of their day to do other things. So we've started the 2 90-minute blocks that I talked about before. One starts at 8:30 and goes through, and then we have a morning tea break, and then we continue into another block of learning time. And that's helpful in my house too, because we can share that learning time, so then our work teams know too when we're doing the homeschooling and when we're not. So that helps with the scheduling of meetings and so on for us. And it also gives the children a really clear sense of what their day is going to look like. So once that time is done, then they're on to their challenge time and that triple sport that we talked about before as well. So I think that's useful, but also I think one of the most important things that we need to be mindful of, if it's not working, just stop. It's not worth the frustration and the tense relationships by making them do something. Just stop, reset, pick it up again.
And I guess reflect on children's different styles of learning.
Absolutely.
And different best times as well. You're saying the morning is a good time for your family, but maybe some children feel later in the day is their time. They want that time in the morning to relax and take it easy. So I guess it's reflecting on children's best learning times and best learning styles.
Absolutely, and I don't think we can ever undervalue how much learning happens in the home outside of that homeschooling time. So just being with our children, they're learning such a tremendous amount by watching us at work. And some of the observations that my children have shared with me about what they've noticed about me when they're watching a Zoom meeting happen is really interesting and leads to lots of great conversations as well. But also household chores, cooking with each other, doing those sorts of things is really valuable, and my children have quite enjoyed the opportunity to be involved in those tasks that often just an afterthought as we're quickly running around trying to...
Going to the supermarket?
They haven't been to the supermarket.
Right.
We've taken on those roles just by that.
You haven't sent them in to beg for toilet paper or anything like that?
No, we haven't done that. But we have involved them in lots of our regular day-to-day things like planning meals and helping prepare food and just being together, and the conversations that happen just through regular day-to-day activities.
Now, before I move on to what it's like from a professional perspective, because we've spoken about the children, I just want to ask the question is, what if things do get heated at home? Because it can become a bit of battleground, doing all of those things. There's an intensity to the relationships when everybody is together for periods of time, and that can affect the relationships in the home. So what's a little bit of advice around if things get really heated?
I think we all need space at different times, so to divide and conquer. is a strategy that we've used a fair bit at home, where one of us will do something with one child, whether we go for a walk together or just do some gardening together, that sort of thing, just to try and break it up. But I think open communication is really important, and not moving on with things when it's not working. So to take the time to stop, reflect and reset when you need to.
So then, thinking about you as a professional and your partner as a professional as well, how's that been for you to try and integrate work and home?
It's a real challenge. It's a real challenge to have 5 people all needing some space to work and some space to be, and maintaining all the different relationships that we need to. But I guess that goes back to one of the points I made earlier around the importance of routine and structure. So being really clear about what is achievable and being realistic with ourselves as well as with our children around what it is that we can manage is important, and having that open communication with your teams at work as well. So for example, in our house, it's not unusual for either me or my husband to start work super early and one of us to work late into the evening. Or sometimes we're both working late into the evening. But it's not forever. So we need to make sure that we're accessible to the needs of the children as well. So having those 2 90-minute learning blocks is really useful. And then thinking about what we can do with the children in the afternoon that is a little bit more independent and gives us some time to do things. And I guess also structuring our days so that when we're not on the homeschooling roster, that's when we can do the more intense work that we need to do, and afternoons are things that we can do alongside our children that don't necessarily require everybody to be quiet.
Yeah.
But I think my colleagues are getting quite familiar with the bark of my dog, my children running in and out, the slam of my screen door.
I love that insight into people's homes in a way. I mean, it's a bit of an invasion of privacy, but I think I've very much enjoyed seeing people's cats, people's dogs, the different sorts of things that happen, the way that children come into meetings. I think, you know, in some ways it's the human side of this crisis, isn't it? And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And my children seem to always be hungry just as I log on to a Zoom call. And there's often somebody in the background saying, "Can we eat this?" And I learned early in the piece that was the biggest challenge, was managing the consumption of food in my household.
For 3 boys, yes.
And when we saw that our week's worth of groceries was gone in 2 days, we realised that we had to do something about that. So I continued to pack the children's lunch boxes as I would if they were at school. And then they know that what's there for them to eat and what their options are during the day. So a little bit of extra work, but it does save the grazing through the cupboard.
And also the food is there and available for the children.
Absolutely.
So have you changed your approach to the way that you are achieving deadlines, or, you know, the sort of pressure that you're putting on yourself as well at this time?
I think it's been a real struggle, but I think I'm learning to be kinder to myself in terms of what is a priority right now and what's realistic and achievable. So that's at the forefront of my mind. We can all just pause and be kinder to ourselves about what we can achieve right now. And as we're getting into a bit more of a routine and things are falling more into place, I'm finding that there's a little bit more that I'm able to do now than I was a couple of weeks ago.
So you kind of reached peak time where you thought, I'm never going to be able to do anything again.
That's right.
And now you're into a different stage.
Yes. So we sort of model things around what it is that we're doing. So when the children are writing independently, that's when I'm writing as well. And there's a lot that can be learned from writing alongside each other as well. When I need to read a document, that's our reading time at home.
Remember all those advice, you know, the advice you got when you had a baby, when the baby sleeps, you sleep, and all this sort of stuff, which was completely unrealistic. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of that too. So just to finish up, what's something that you've learnt about yourself in this process of having a very intense kind of home life where everything is centred on the home?
Well, coming from a teaching background, I've learned that what I can do for other people's children, I can't always do for my own. And that the most important thing for my children is that I'm their mum, not their teacher, not anything else, and that I'm present with them.
Thank you, Lisa.
Pleasure.